Oh, okay. Yeah, now it's on. Yeah, so we'll start on our backs tonight. So you can just find your way onto your mat. Feel free to have maybe a pillow with you or underneath your knees or underneath your head if that feels better. You could also put a block underneath your hips if that feels good as well. Otherwise, we'll just keep the knees bent. You can come all the way down and just take a moment here. You might want to place the hands onto the rib cage here. Maybe you prefer the hands to be down by the side of the body. You might want the hands to face down if you feel like you need to calm the mind a bit or slow down the body. Or maybe you want to place the hands open if you feel like your day's been a bit slow, you're feeling a bit stuck, you'd like to receive some energy here. So just finding that right hand position for you. After a few moments of finding your position, just allow the eyes to gently close here. Begin to just notice the sound of your breath as you inhale and exhale through the nose here. Begin to notice if your breathing is fast or slow. And notice if your inhale or your exhale feels a bit easier right now. Maybe it's easier to take in air. Maybe it's easier to let the air go. At this point in the practice, we're just noticing, we're not changing how we're breathing. We're just bringing our attention, our awareness to our breath here. Now maybe with that awareness, we can begin to extend our inhale breath and extend our exhale breath to the count of 3 or 4 seconds. So maybe beginning with 3 if you found that your breath was a bit shallow. Maybe beginning with 4 seconds if you found your breath was quite long already. Just counting to 4 on the inhale. Count to 2 in the pause between the inhale and the exhale. Count to 4 on the exhale, or 3 if you're doing 3 counts of 4, whatever suits. So just following this rhythm here. Inhale and count. Pausing for 2. And then exhale for the same count again. Just trying to slow down the nervous system here, slow down the mind, and allow ourselves to just arrive in this present moment. In this space, maybe you notice that thoughts are arising, maybe about the past, maybe about the future. See if you can just bring conscious awareness into your next breath, into the here and now. And just beginning to detach from anything that's happened today before you were here. Anything that's in the future that we don't have right now. Allow the shoulders to begin to soften here, melting into the mat a little bit more. Allow the hips to gently become more heavier here. Let them open and relax down into the mat. Allow your feet to become soft here, feeling grounded, feeling connected to the earth. You can let go of your breath count now and just come to a more natural flow of breath in the body. Maybe now placing one hand on your heart and one hand on your lower belly. For the next few breaths here, just thinking of some intention for tonight's practice. Maybe it's a word. Maybe you think of somebody in your life right now who needs something. A loved one. Maybe it's for you. Just take a few breaths here to connect with your intention. Breathing it in softly on the inhale. The exhale, grounding down even more. Feeling that sense of connection with yourself here, your hand on your heart. You can take the hands back down by your side here now. We're just going to take 3 breaths with an audible exhale now. So taking a full inhale breath, breathing in as much air as you can. And on your exhale, you're going to open your mouth and just let go of any stress or tension that you've been holding from today. Take another 2 breaths like this here. In your own time, just letting go of any stress from today that you're holding inside. And after you take your final audible exhale here, just returning to a natural breath. And in your own time, maybe adding in a few little movements now with the fingertips or the toes, just gently waking the body here. We'll let our legs go long now if they're not already, and we'll take our hands up overhead and take a full body stretch here. Point your toes, stretch your fingertips overhead, squeezing the toes down, reaching the fingertips. Take an inhale here. And then release, let the hands come back down by your side for a moment. Take a little wiggle with the hips side to side here. And we're going to move into our banana asana here. So we're going to begin to walk the feet over to the right corner of the mat, all the way over. You can place your left foot on top of the right foot, taking your hands back overhead now, walking those hands over to the right side as well, and just gently grasping your left wrist overhead. You can turn your face to the right side, or you can also turn your head to the left, whatever way feels better for your neck here. You should be feeling a nice stretch down the left side of the body here. If you can, just keep the eyes closed here. And allow the body to breathe all the way down the left side of the body. Your mind might still be racing with thoughts. If that's the case, just try and come back to your next breath. And just try not to judge yourself if you're finding it hard to relax or go a bit slower. It's completely normal for the mind to try and keep fast and busy. So just being kind to yourself. Take another 3 breaths here on the left side. Just allowing maybe a deeper opening here. Slowly coming back to the center now, walking the hands up, walking the feet back to center. And then we'll take it to the opposite side now. So we'll walk our fingertips over to the left side, walking our feet all the way over to the left as well, taking hold of our right wrist overhead, making sure the shoulders are staying down on the mat, and crossing over that right foot. That feels okay. If not, you can keep the feet together on the side here. Once again, with your head maybe turning to the left or maybe turning to the right, whatever feels better. Let the eyes close here. So let the breath move down the right side of the body, from your right hand all the way down to your right toes. Try to relax your face here as much as possible. Relax your jaw and your forehead. After a few breaths here, you may find that you want to go a bit deeper, maybe arching over to the left a little bit more with the hands and the feet for a deeper stretch. So take your final 3 breaths here. When you're ready, walking back to center with the feet and the hands. You can take the hands down by your side for a moment. Maybe give the hips a little wiggle side to side. And coming back to center. And just take 2 full breaths here. A full inhale through the nose and a full exhale through the nose here. Sending your breath down to your hips here. We're gonna bend the knees now. So keep the feet hip distance apart here. We're gonna move into our bridge pose here. So we're gonna press down into our feet, press down into our hands, and begin to gently lift the hips off the mat, slowly rising here, squeezing the back of the legs, pressing down with the arms and forearms here, pressing into the feet, lifting up with the hips. And you can stay here like this with the hands planted down. Or maybe you want to bring your hands into a clasp here underneath the body. So you can do that now. You can join the hands and begin to tuck under the shoulders here, pressing down with your hands into the mat, lifting your hips maybe a little bit higher, lifting the belly button here, and making sure that your chin is nice and tucked. And we'll just stay here for 3 breaths. There can be a lot of heat in this pose. So just try to stay with the breath if you can. Inhale, see the belly rise here. Exhale, belly softens. Inhale, belly rising. And exhale, soften. Take your final breath here. Reaching up the hips maybe a tiny bit higher if you can. Exhale, release the hands if you have them clasped. Bring them back by their side. And slowly just begin to let the hips come down inch by inch, really slowly here. It's going to feel a lot better if you come down slowly. Come all the way down, eventually allowing the hips to land here. Just take a full inhale breath here through the nose. And a full exhale through the nose. Take another breath like this now. Full inhale all the way in. And full exhale. We're going to let our right leg go long now. Let it go all the way down. We're going to squeeze in our left knee towards us, taking our hands to the outside of that knee. Just give it a little squeeze in towards the chest here. And then we're going to take our right hand to the outside of that knee and begin to draw that knee all the way down, coming into our twist here. And allow the left arm to go long. You might take your right arm long as well, out to the T shape. And you can turn your head away from your knee to the left side. We'll take a minute here in our twist. Just allowing the spine to unravel here. Take a few moments to breathe into that chest area, to your shoulders here. And also into your heart space. Stay here for a few more breaths. Maybe going a bit deeper in your twist. Maybe drawing the knee down further to the ground. Or maybe just staying exactly where you are. And just surrendering to where you are right now. When you're ready, we'll exhale and come back through to center, bringing that left knee around. Bring that left leg all the way down. Bring the hands by the side. Take a full inhale here. And a full exhale through the nose. Let's take our right knee in towards our chest now. Taking the hands outside the knee. Give it a little squeeze towards us here. And then let's draw that knee across the body with our left hand now. Twisting here and letting our right arm go long. And maybe taking our left arm long as well. And looking over to the right side this time. The feet become heavy here. The head become heavy. And try to keep the face and the shoulders relaxed here. Just focusing on our breath. This time we're sending the breath over the right shoulder, into the right side of the heart space, and down our arms as well. Take another few breaths here. Maybe going a bit deeper, letting the knee come across further towards the ground. Maybe just staying where you are now. When you're ready, we'll come all the way back through center. This time, keep your left knee in. We're going to keep your right knee in. We're going to bring our left knee up to join it. Keep the feet crossed here, the ankles crossed. And we'll just begin to take little rocks with the spine here, taking little circles maybe to begin, taking one hand on top of each knee. Just begin to take little rotations in the hips here, bringing the knees up towards you and then away from you here. Maybe even rocking just side to side for the spine. Just taking a little massage here in your own time. Take 2 more breaths here like this. Just rocking into the spine here, into the hips. Eventually just take the hands now behind the knees, uncross your feet, and just begin to rock a few times up and down the spine until eventually coming up to a seated position. And we'll meet in our easy pose here. So feel free to maybe prop yourself up on a block or a pillow. If not, maybe just take a moment to loosen out the hips here, maybe lifting up your legs a few times. Eventually coming down into a seat. Keep the hands on the knees here, and we'll just begin to take a few shoulder rolls. So on the inhale, we'll bring our shoulders up to the ears. On the exhale, we'll drop the shoulders down the back body. Inhale, lifting up, squeezing up. Exhale, drop them down. Really squeezing on the way up, and on the exhale, dropping them down all the way back. A few more like this in your own time. When you're ready, maybe changing direction. So inhale, lift the shoulders up and forward. Exhale, dropping them down. Inhale, up and around. Exhale, down. Taking your last one like this. Inhale, squeezing up. Exhale, dropping down. Just roll the shoulders back now, down the back body. We'll move into our neck circles here. So just begin to take your right ear towards your right shoulder. Pausing here. We're going to inhale and drop the chin down towards the chest, rolling over to the left shoulder here. Take a pause. And then exhale all the way back, looking up. Pausing on the right side. Inhale, rolling around to the left. And pause. Exhale, rolling back. Keeping the eyes closed here. And try to move even slower than you want to. And really taking those pauses between each movement here. Taking that moment to hold the breath. Or moving to your inhale or your exhale. Feeling into all parts of your neck here. All the different feelings. All the different tensions here. You get back over to the left side this time. Just changing directions now. So reversing your circle. Going backwards now. Just taking a few more like this in your own time. Eventually coming back to center, we'll lift the head up, take a full inhale here, and an audible exhale. When you're ready, we'll find ourselves onto our all four position. So just coming around, making sure that our fingertips are spread nice and wide and that our shoulders and our wrists are directly in line with each other. Taking a look at your knees as well, just making sure they're underneath your hips. You can tuck the toes or leave the toes relaxed. It's up to you. And just make sure your spine is nice and straight here. You're not collapsing in the spine. Bring your belly button up towards your spine here. And we'll take the right foot back now, staying on the toes, keeping the hips square. And we're just going to rock into the back of that heel, the back of the calf here a few times. Just rocking on the toes here, forward and backwards. You might get a few ankle cracks. You might feel it in your calf muscle more. Try to keep the neck nice and long here. And you might even try to add in a few little circles here for the hip and for the ankle. Rocking around here. Maybe going the opposite way. On your next inhale, you're going to draw that knee in towards you, and then you're going to bring it to the outside of the right hand. So we're coming into our lizard pose here. So just take a moment. You want to make sure that your knee and your ankle are directly in one line here. You're going to keep the hands planted into the mat. You might want to walk back your left knee now a little bit more. And we'll just begin upright like this for a moment and let the hips begin to sink down. You might even take some little rocks here, side to side, into the hips. Maybe even some little circles here if you can, if you have that space. And you can decide here now if you want to stay up on the hands, that's fine. Or maybe you want to come down onto the elbows. Or maybe grab your pillow now and come onto your elbows on the pillow. Maybe you want to use your block for your forehead here, or your book. Just finding whatever position feels good. And you can keep the foot completely flat on the mat here, or else maybe lifting off the arch of that foot, getting a deeper stretch here in this position. And you can allow the upper body to round here as you drop the head down. Maybe staying on the forearms, or maybe coming even down further, if that feels good for you. Just staying here for a few breaths, feeling into our hips here. Feeling into any tightness, maybe that's here in the hips. And maybe any emotions that we're storing in this place. If it gets too much at all, you can always come back up onto your hands. Just stay here for another 30 seconds or so. Just breathing into this hip space. For your final few breaths here, maybe going a bit deeper, maybe opening that knee a bit wider, or maybe you feel like you need to come back out of the pose. You're down on your elbows now, maybe coming back up to the hands, beginning to place that foot back down. We're going to bring that foot all the way back to our all four position here. Take a moment just to shake the hips from side to side.
Maybe taking a few circles with the hips here. Just easing out this area. Taking a few circles here with the hips. Maybe some bigger circles now. Using your breath. And now we'll take our next foot back, our left toe back this time. So taking your foot to the back of the mat, pressing into your fingertips. We're just going to rock like we did on the other side into the back of that left foot here. Maybe hearing a few clicks or a few cracks here. Still breathing. Maybe taking a few little circles here with that hip into the ankle as well. Going the other way now with your circles. We're going to bring that knee forward this time. So bring it all the way, bending the knee in, and then taking that foot to the outside of your left hand. Maybe walking back the right knee now. Staying up on our fingertips here and our hands. Making sure that your knee and your ankle are in line here. Taking a moment to let the hips drop down a bit. Maybe lifting off the arch of that foot. And maybe coming down onto the forearms, onto the elbows, if that feels good. And rounding the head down here. Or maybe coming down onto your pillow, onto your block. Whatever feels best here. Just surrendering down here, just allowing the hips to open. Allowing the breath to guide you here. And allowing any emotions to arise, and not judging them. We'll stay here for around another 30 seconds or so. So maybe you need to come back up if it's getting too much. Maybe you want to stay down and go a bit deeper. Your last few breaths, maybe increasing the length of your breath here, deepening the breath. If you're down on the elbows, maybe coming back up to the fingertips now. And we'll bring that foot all the way back down if we have the arch lifted. And we'll bring that knee all the way back to meet the other knee. And let's take our knees nice and wide, big toes touching, and come all the way back into our child's pose. Maybe taking our pillow in between our knees here. Just let yourself come down onto one ear or the other ear if you're using your pillow, or maybe onto your forehead if you're coming down onto the mat. Just take 5 to 10 breaths here in this quiet space, in this intimate pose, child's pose, just for you.
Feeling the breath around the lower body here, around the hip area. Slowly coming back up now. Maybe shifting your pillow over to the side. We'll come back up onto our all fours. We're going to tuck our toes this time. We're going to come up into our down dog. So on an inhale breath, begin to tuck the toes, press into the back of the toes, lift the hips up. Begin to come into your down dog. Maybe walk the fingertips a bit more forward if you need that space. Opening the shoulders here. Just take a moment to walk the feet on the spot here. Stretching into the back of our hamstrings. Maybe give your head a shake, yes and no with the head. Also, maybe just twisting your heels over to one side, pausing here, and then twisting your hips to the other side. Bring your feet back to center. We're just going to tiptoe the feet little by little, all the way up to our hands here. Walking really slowly. Keep a nice bend in the knees here. And bring the feet all the way up in behind the hands here. And then maybe just walk the hands back to the outside of our feet here. And keep a very deep bend in the knees. You're going to let your head come down nice and heavy. And just take hold of opposite elbows here and allow the elbows to swing from side to side. Keep a nice grip of the mat with your feet here. And just make sure that your belly is connected to your upper thighs. There's no need to have the legs straight here. You can keep a nice bend. Keep holding the elbows, or maybe you just want to let the hands come down. And let them circle around the feet here, allowing the upper body to become really heavy. The more heavy that your upper body becomes, the more that the back of your legs can open here and release. Maybe eventually just letting the hands come down in front of the feet here. We're going to stay here for about a minute or so. So keeping the belly connected to the upper thighs. And with every breath, maybe just beginning to extend the back of the hamstrings up towards the sky as you let the top of the body come closer down towards the mat. So keeping that connection with the belly while extending the back of your hips up to the sky. Letting the head come further down. Just take a few breaths in this grounding pose. And this nice stretch for your hamstrings here, the back of your legs. Maybe shaking your head a few more times here if that feels good. There's still some tension you're holding here. Just taking 3 more breaths here. Maybe staying exactly where you are, or maybe extending the back of the hamstrings up a tiny bit more towards the sky. When you're ready, we're going to step the right foot back. We're going to step the left foot back into our down dog. Take a full inhale here and an audible exhale. We'll come down onto our knees here. Maybe walking the knees slightly back.
Making sure you have enough room to walk the hands forward. Keep the hips over the knees here and begin to walk the hands out nice and wide as your mat, all the way down into your puppy pose. Maybe resting on a pillow or a block, or maybe just coming all the way down. And let the heart melt open here at the front of the body, open here. Just take a few breaths here to soften down. Try to close the eyes here. Filling your heart with some breath here if you can on the inhale and exhale. Imagining you're sending the breath into your heart space. Take a few more breaths here. Just really surrendering to this pose here. Allowing yourself to let go of any tension you're still holding with every exhale breath. Next inhale, begin to walk the hands back in. Begin to lift the head back up, back to your all fours. And in your own time, just coming back around to a seated position on the mat. And you're going to take your legs out nice and wide as they'll go. They don't need to go extra wide. Just finding what's comfortable for you here. Maybe taking the fingertips behind you and just lifting the hips up and down a few times, just to allow the hamstrings to turn out slightly more. And you can keep the toes nice and soft here. They don't need to be flexed super strong or anything. And we're going to take our pillow now on top of our leg. So just finding that position for it there. You could also take your book on top as well, or maybe if you have a block. We're going to twist our body here. And keeping our spine nice and straight, we're going to lead with our heart here and begin to walk the fingertips forward as we come into a bit of a fold here. But it's more like a restorative fold. So we don't want to be pushing the body too much. We just want to allow the body to begin to melt down here. Just taking little walks with the fingertips. And when you find that you can't go any further, when you've reached your limit, this is where you allow the upper body to round here and fold down on top of that leg here. You can release the hands down, just let the shoulders relax. And you'll feel a nice deep stretch in the back of the hamstring. Just take a few breaths here in this restorative pose. You might find that you want to take away maybe one of your pillows or one of your blocks or your book. After a few breaths, if you have that space, you can let the head come down again. Just really now breathing into the back of your legs here this time. to your hamstrings, all the way down to your feet. Take another 5 breaths here. So maybe lifting the spine up, lifting the heart again, and then going a bit deeper if you have that space for your last 5 breaths. When you're ready, beginning to lift up the spine, walking the hands in. And we'll take a moment to switch our pillow over to the other leg. Maybe adding in your block again or your book again. We're going to twist the spine this time over to the right leg. Take an inhale, straighten the spine, and exhale, begin to walk with the fingertips, leading with the heart space. As you just take little steps with the hands, keeping the spine as straight as you can. And when you reach your limit here, beginning to fold over, letting yourself melt here onto your props. Allow the arms to become heavy here. If there's any thoughts that are distracting you right now, just try and come back to your breath, back to this moment. Allow the body to become heavy here, especially around the face and the shoulders. Allow yourself to become really rooted to the earth here, the lower body. Take another 5 breaths here. Maybe coming back up, inhaling, lifting the heart again, and exhaling, removing maybe one of your props and folding a bit deeper now. Your last 5 breaths here. When you're ready, begin to slowly lift up. This time, we're going to take our pillows into the center. And you can also take your block or your book again. And once again, we're going to press into our fingertips, lift the heart space, inhale. And exhale, just begin to gently walk with those fingertips, a little by little forward. Keeping the heart nice and lifted, keeping the spine lifted. You can relax the toes here. And eventually maybe just allowing the spine to round here. Maybe coming onto your prop here. Allow the shoulders to soften. You can always stay up as well a bit longer if you need time to come down. Eventually you might make it to the elbows, maybe drop your forehead. Getting a very deep stretch on the inside of the legs here. the back of the legs. Just take a few breaths here, keeping the eyes closed. Just allow the body to become sleepy here. Allow the body to become heavy here. Slowing everything right down. Try to listen to the sound of your breath. Calming breath. Take another 5 breaths here. Maybe you find you can go a bit deeper, or maybe you want to stay exactly where you are. You might want to lift up the heart and try and go a bit deeper for your last few breaths. Whatever feels best for you. When you're ready, we'll slowly begin to unravel the spine here. Walking the hands up, rolling up the spine. Taking your block and your pillow back out to the side, moving them away. To be very gentle with the legs now, they might be very stiff. We'll come all the way around onto our back here. So just taking your time to get there. Your legs may feel a bit weird. It's completely normal. And in your own time, just finding yourself onto your back. And we'll finish by placing the pillow underneath their knees here. After all that opening of our legs here, just place the pillow underneath their knees and let the legs go long. You can let them go nice and wide here. Let the feet flop out to the side. And allow the hands to come away from the body, palms facing up here. As you move into our Savasana here, allow the eyes to close. Gently tucking our chin towards our chest here. We're just taking these few moments in stillness here to surrender to the breath. Surrender to all that we did in our movement, in our asanas. So just beginning to quiet down the mind here. Noticing if your mind is still running with thoughts, try to go back to your next inhale. Begin to soften the crown of your head here, back of your head. Soften your eyebrows, jaw. Relax your collarbones here. Relax your rib cage. Allow your hands and your arms to become heavy. Allow the hips to soften.
Allow your left leg and your right leg to become heavy. And allow your feet to become soft and relaxed. Let yourself rest here in this restorative space for a few moments. In our busy lives, it's so important that we take time out just to be. Like nowhere to go and nowhere to be right now, nothing to do, but just existing here, this moment that you're in. Allow yourself to detach from everything right now. Just lie in this quietness, this space that always exists within you. Let yourself soak in this stillness. And if you feel like you need to stay here some longer time, just allowing yourself to stay here until you're ready to move again. If you'd like to now, you can begin to just make little movements with the fingers and the toes. Maybe noticing some sounds around you again. Taking a deep inhale here and an audible exhale. The arms up overhead. Maybe stretching your toes here. Taking a yawn. When you're ready, just rolling over onto your side, moving away your pillow here. And just take a moment to be grateful for your body here. Grateful for all the lessons that it teaches you. We'll slowly lift up now to a seated position. We'll keep our legs crossed here in easy pose. And we'll take our hands in prayer above our third eye for spiritual awareness, over our lips to speak our truth, and over our heart space to give and receive love. Namaste.